Thanks for staying with us. So we're going to be talking about the arrest. The Delta State Police Command has vowed to prosecute suspects that were arrested during a gay wedding between Daniel Pius M., the groom, age 22 years old, and Maxwell Ohonoho, bride, male, and age 20 years. No fewer than 67 suspected were arrested at the venue of the wedding when a crack team of police operatives stormed the event. Meanwhile, back in 2014, former President Goodluck Jonathan had signed a bill that criminalizes same-sex relationships, defying Western pressure over the gay rights and provoking U.S. criticism. The bill, if you recall, contains 14 years penalty, prison, and bans gay marriage and same amorous relationships and membership of gay rights groups. Now, later on the show, we'll be having the spokesperson of the police, Delta State Police Command, DSP Bright Edafe, to give us some update. But first, I'd like to hear the ladies' views on it. And you can also call us on the numbers on your screen. You can call us... the numbers on the screen, 080, let's get the numbers for you, 080-764-1679, 090-2416-440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read the tweets. All right, so we know gay rights is outlawed in Nigeria. Same-sex marriage is outlawed in Nigeria. There's no conversation concerning that. Yeah, sure. But the real conversation is the fact that youngsters, 22, 20 years old, were caught having that same-sex marriage per event in Delta State. And then they were paraded, and many were calling for their arrest and saying that they should be publicly disgraced, as they have been done already. But what are your general thoughts on this? Although some of them were interviewed and they said that it wasn't a wedding, they were some of them are drag queens. I'm not sure if the law specifically says something about being a drag queen or dressing like a man or dressing like a woman, cross-dressing. I'm not sure if the law is quite specific on that, but I'll check it again. But the point is, what are your thoughts on this? And do you agree with what the government is doing concerning that? Toby, would like to start or?
When I saw this news yesterday, I had to speak with a young person living with me. I said, please, what's the definition of marriage again? And she said, it is a legal union between a man and a woman that makes them husband and wife. So when we say gay marriage, it alters the definition of saying, of what marriage is. And that's kind of like contradictive. And so, for these people, I look at it sometimes, when I see people like this, I kind of feel pity for them because I know that if they know better, they would do better in instances like this. But at the end of the day, in this kind of situation, know the laws of the land. Since 2014, there was a law put in place by the former president saying that same-sex marriage is a no-no. And now look at this. The police was very swift, I would give credit to them. But then, are there other weddings that have gone on like this without being in the public space over the time?
Okay.
So for me, it is, it's illegal, obviously we know. So what they did was commit a crime. It is illegal according to the law that what was signed by former president in 2014 says that the bill gives a penalty of up to 14 years if you are found in a same-sex relationship or group or advocating for gay rights. So these people were committing one, marriage. They gathered in a group and they were promoting gay rights. So it's not a case of whether I feel like, oh, is it right, is it wrong, should they have freedom, should they do? Point is, it is illegal in Nigeria, and what they did was to disobey that law. And they did it publicly. So I actually have seen a few couples, same-sex relationships in Nigeria on social media, but they never publicized their marriage. They got married outside the country, came back to Nigeria, and they just post pictures. You would just assume these people are friends. But those, when you see, you will read the You read the room and you know that there's more to this relationship. Yes, I follow a lady, I follow her on Instagram, and I followed her because she was in the media before. And suddenly I saw more to it. So there are two things here. Even when you want to do what is wrong, you don't have the respect of the law to do it in such a brazen way. So I totally support making an example of this entire bunch of people. Not only did they disobey the law, they need to become a scapegoat. So yes, you face your 14 years in prison, but then set a precedent so that we don't see, because whatever you permit or you let slide, you would see more of it in the society.
All right, I get that, Tokwe, but you see, let me come to you, Mariam. I worry because we sometimes cherry pick when we want to discuss human rights, what people have rights to do. So, for example, as you said, yes, the law has its stance, but these are Nigerians. These are citizens. These are people who have exactly the same rights as heterosexuals. They have a right to gather. Yes, albeit their act is illegal, but should they have been paraded the way they were paraded? Should they have been embarrassed and disgraced where you are seeing their faces, to the world? Because the truth is that, yes, I catch you, even criminals. I would have thought that there was a law against even parading criminals. Because the idea is that, yes, you catch them, but should you embarrass them publicly where everybody's seeing them and now making a comment and then we can identify, oh, he's gay, oh, was that right on the side of the police to do?
The honest truth is this conversation is a tough conversation to have as a Christian, as a Nigerian in 2023. It's tough because we know how, if we were to look at it globally, where, especially, let me not say global, Western, where the West is leaning towards, where we're saying human rights is important and everybody's allowed their rights. But as a Christian, many of us know that this is not a lifestyle that is approved anywhere. And for some reason, being a Christian, you even see it as the worst sin ever. So we come from Nigeria where we're highly conservative and we lean either towards Islam or Christianity. And so this is unacceptable, even on a moral or ethical grounds. Then we now have the law to back it up. And so some people would have the conversation of saying, where I understand where you're coming from, which is at least they're still human beings. They should have been given the respect as human beings. They should still have been given dignity. Yes, you have broken the law, right, in converging, but it was not murder. It was not theft. You converge in a way that you are not meant to converge. Is there a better way that this could have been handled? But then, this is Nigeria. This is something that a lot of us find very uncomfortable. And so this may be the police way of sending a message and saying, if we find you gathering like this, we will embarrass you. Because if we don't, if we were to deal with it in secret, you may think it's okay. And then obviously, I'm looking at the group of people and the age of the people that were in that. They are obviously not conversant with the law. They don't understand that there is implications. And so unless something as embarrassing or as public as what happened to them is done, many people would still think that they can get away with it. How is it that sometimes we're having conversations and then younger people will say something, I'm like, you mean you're not aware that this is...
You don't read,
they don't
follow the news.
You don't follow the news, nothing. You're just living and vibing and going off. So based on that, I think that human beings should be treated with respect. I feel, yes, they did something unlawful, but I feel like there's a more respectful, humane way than this could have been dealt with.
Also, so now we've established the law and our initial thoughts. But the real conversation is that are we being hypocritical as a nation? Because this community exists whether we want to believe it or not. They live amongst us, and many of us are carrying our small precious pickings to the West. For university, you are constantly carrying them at the age of 14 or 16, and their mind is still impressionable. They are still building their mentality. And we are carrying these 16-year-olds to America, to Canada, to all these countries for their university degrees. Their minds will be influenced by their community. So you are here criticizing a bunch of gay community. But the truth is that your children, your children's children, everybody around you, they are all identified. They might not join them, But they have totally, completely identified. And we are here saying we want young people in governance. We want young people. We want to bring, these are fresh ideas. Whether you like it or not, you're going to get lawmakers very soon. We're already having a 36-year-old minister. Very soon, we're going to have 36-year-old commissioners. 36-year-old that are coming from the abroad with this mentality, more exposed mentality. So should those of us who are conservative start preparing our mind of the future, for the future?
So I feel that, one, Nigeria is an hypocritical society. We know. We have extremely, in many areas, don't spray money. The politicians are spraying money. They write the law, don't spray. We all, like, we know, and we still do what we want to do. Don't just be caught, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of society that we are. This is not the first one. There are many other examples of how our hypocrisy plays out in real life. So that on one side. On the other side is the fact that we are raising global children. And our global children, small children, are already being indoctrinated into this world. So I never had a conversation regarding same-sex with my children for the longest of times. And I think I mentioned it here. And people are like, you'll be shocked that they already know. Guess what? When I had the conversation, my kids already knew. They were 8. They knew about same-sex relationships, and they knew that they are human beings and they should not be discriminated against. How did they know that? Cartoons. The cartoons are already, all of, on our current, on Twitter right now, on YouTube, people are like, God forbid, Morayo is supporting them. Go and have conversation with your children and find out if they will support this law. You'll be shocked that if you talk to the children, your 5 to 15-year-old will say, I know this is wrong, but I don't think that we should be discriminated against them. They have been programmed. So we are going to get there. This commercial we're having, that we're talking like this, they had things like this 50 years ago in America, when it was still illegal. So we must realize that the world is evolving. We cannot choose that we want to take technology and we're going to avoid this one. Let us now decide on how we're going to approach it. As a parent, I realize that I'm not going to hide it from my children. These things happen. But this is not the way God designed us to be. God did not make a mistake when he created you and he gave you a specific sex and a gender and a body feature biologically that fits it. So when I educate my children and I release them into the world, I use prayer to back them up and hope that they continue in that line.
Let me let you jump in here before I go on a break.
I actually have a friend had a friend. We grew up together attending campouts, but somewhere along the line she was raped. And so it changed her orientation about life, about men. And so now she's
identifying as...
She has a girlfriend. Like, she even married legally. I mean, she got married, she went out of the country to get married. She came back, her grandparents, because she puts her story out, they found it difficult at first to accept her or not, but eventually they did. And I now imagine if that kind of child she had a daughter. Now, this daughter is now in the class of my child. And so my child is coming to say, oh, my friend's mommy and mommy. You know, it's...
You're right. We're not very accustomed to it.
But it's happening already.
One of the reasons why your view exists is to present conversations like this to the world, to Nigerians. And listen, as much as it's against our religion, it's against our law, but because the world, you cannot pick and choose what you want from the West. We are picking what we want, what we don't want. But let me go on a break. Come back, we open our phone line. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.